This week's got a lot going on.
There'll be more costs up front and then there'll be a higher ongoing cost as well.
Oh, what do we do about this? Things I used to implement in MIB, which I've not implemented on Rupert. I made a mistake.
I mean, I think you've got a great solution that is not something that I've seen.
Just don't really know what to do with the investor stuff. Number one supplement brand in the UK who wants to use Rupert.
Congratulations to you too. I mean, it popped up on LinkedIn and it's a challenge that we face.
From our first initial meeting, really, really good.
If you're new here, this is the road to 1,000 users where me and James are trying to get our new platform Rupert, a 24/7 social media assistant to help you manage your comment section, to 1,000 users by the end of 2025. This series is going to document the highs, lows and realities of building a tech startup after James sold his previous 2 companies to focus solely on Rupert.
Happy Monday, everyone. It is another week of road to 1,000 users. This week's got a lot going on. Although today actually is a bit of a pain actually. I was supposed to have a meeting with AD, who's the marketing manager at Sharp. AD and I go back a long way, so but she's unable to make it to Leamington now due to a issue with a car. And then I was supposed to have a call with the guys at Pragmatic Developers, for those that are new here, to run through the scope of work based on the Innovate grant that we won last week, which is great. But they've had to cancel because Tom is ill and not in the office today. So total anticlimax today. And also, I've got my daughter with me because it's teaching training day, which I wasn't aware of. My little one is downstairs painting me some pictures to tell me how much she loves me. Today I've got about 10-15 calls I need to make, just following up pipeline, and then I'm going to start looking at the data from TC9's email campaigns, which we've stopped, but I want to look at the data to paint a picture for investors. I've got 2 investor meetings this week. Just don't really know what to do with the investor stuff. Obviously, a lot of people go down this route and say it's brilliant. Some people will go through and say it's not very brilliant. I just want to make sure if I do get an investor in, or investors, they're the right people. I did have a really interesting email from the investor that you would have seen on the last vlog, or last couple of vlogs, where me and Mary went down to London. Anna emailed me back again last night saying that this is really cool, we've just got a few concerns. There were some very valid questions. I think I responded in a very clear, concise way. There's a tech gap in terms of knowledge in the team. Yeah, you're absolutely right, we do, which is why the plan is to bring in a CTO over an 18-month period with the help of Pragmatic, which they've agreed to help support with. But also, we've not had the luxury of having time, being able to create Rupert, bring it to market within an 18-month period with no prior tech support or knowledge. I think is testament to what I've been able to achieve, and we've got paying customers, something very few tech platforms actually get. So really valid point, but hopefully I went back in a nice, clear, concise way. That fund is actually run by the Business School of Economics, or a consortium within there, so that could be cool. Well, today's gonna be a bit all over the place, but yeah, day one of another week.
Kicking off today, James had a call with Beauty, his VA, to go over what she's been working on, and then...
And now TC9 is saying that I can't access the data from the campaigns. Oh, no. This is why agencies get a bad rap. No wonder we did so well.
Stuff like that can happen, unfortunately, but me and James then jumped on to discuss what I've been working on. My Monday job is editing this vlog. The very vlog that you're seeing now is my main Monday task, as it takes pretty much all day to edit. We also decided to reduce the frequency of our In the Comments podcasts because we do them in person in Leamington, and because James is so busy keeping the rest of Rupert running. It's hard to find the time to not only find the guests, but also guests that are willing to travel to Leamington and book them in at times that we can all do. So we're cutting this back to once a month maybe, just to make it a bit easier for all of us and not make them too pressurised at finding guests regularly. James was also wondering whether we should invest in a DJI Osmo, one of those little vlogging cameras, because as much as James loves his Meta glasses, he still has all the footage then on his phone and has to upload it, which isn't the most practical, especially when he needs his phone for calls, etc. So watch this space, we might get one of those in the future if we can afford it. But after that, James was on daddy duties.
Where are we going to go? We're going to go feed the ducks. Tuesday. Call now with TJ at Vagabond, which is a digital agency that I'm hoping to get onto the partner program. They run a lot of services, a lot of social, a lot of paid, a lot of organic. We work with some really, really cool brands. I'm going to jump on with TJ now to see if they want to join the program.
James did a quick run through of Rupert as always, and TrackDesk, which is the platform we use to track our partner program. So TJ was really positive about it and wants to get involved as a partner, which is great for us, great for them. Another good partner under our belt.
I'm just about to jump on with Mark Probert from Cactus, who might be officially my biggest advocate on LinkedIn. I haven't spoken to him for a while. Catch up with him if I can talk. Show him Rupert and see if maybe there's any agencies that he knows in his portfolio who would be looking at becoming a partner. Really good guy. See how he is.
As James has said, Mark is a big supporter of James and Rupert on LinkedIn. I mean, whatever we seem to post, Mark is there in the comments. So Mark, shout out to you. And again, like with Vagabond earlier, he likes what we're doing at Rupert and said he'll mention us to any relevant agencies or companies he works with, which will hopefully bring us some more users.
Right, it's time for the call with Rob and Tom, developers, to discuss the grant we've won and how we're going to now get YouTube and TikTok sorted.
So the plan with the grant money is, as James said, to get Rupert working across YouTube and TikTok, which means we'll then be across 4 platforms rather than just Instagram and Facebook like we are at the moment. I mean, I don't know much about development and coding, but as you can probably imagine, each platform has its own intricacies and therefore unique challenges. So James and the developers are trying to work out what is possible and any potential workarounds to get Rupert operating as it should. Tricky part is that we've won this grant based on the fact that this money will be used in part for getting Rupert operational on these new platforms, so we kind of have no choice but to find a way. TikTok in particular looks to be quite challenging, as our traditional way of getting Rupert to pull in comments and send out replies basically can't work with TikTok's system, so we have to find another way, which is not only time consuming but expensive, which is not ideal for us at the moment.
It's a hell of a lot more involved, it's a lot more maintenance ongoing. Unless these other bigger companies have got, relationships with TikTok directly, I would imagine that's how they're doing it. We can definitely do it. It's just it'll be more costs up front, and then there'll be a higher ongoing cost as well.
Which obviously right now is a no.
Although, because you can't comment back to it, it'll be more of like monitoring thing, like so you can see everything and report on it, but you can't put anything back. Rocco, do you know if we can hide comments on TikTok, or is it completely just reading comments on TikTok?
I don't think you can hide comments now.
Oh, what do we do about this?
My personal thoughts are implementing with the API, but what they've got, obviously there's limitations to it, but it's going to be a hell of a lot less time, and it still meets your grant, should meet your grant, right? And then you can use that time to work on other features that we've been talking about.
We've got to go down the API route. We can't need to go down the Python route because that's a can of worms I just don't want to open up, really. Okay, so if we think of the UX of Rupert at the moment, what if we go ahead with this piece of work, we bring the comments from TikTok into Rupert, we then send them back to TikTok to respond, because that's what we're going to have to do for TikTok. Once the brand responds or the user responds to the comment, how do we know if that's been grayed out or not?
We should be able to, because we should be able to poll for the comments again on that video and grab the ones that by the same page.
Because obviously they're not going to be able to reply to them in the platform, but then at least if they did it outside of the platform, they could see.
Well, we've also, lads, don't forget, we've got 6 months to complete this project from an Innovate perspective. So even if we did the YouTube stuff first and we just sort of held back on the TikTok for now, so I think we just do one platform at a time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Do you want us to do the proof of concept to see if it's been replied to, and then we'll estimate what we know now?
Yeah, do that.
They also went over the buckets idea that James has had for a while now, so some extra filters that Rupert can have, like sales opportunities, as some brands can have pages and pages of unreplied comments, which means that valuable leads might be lost. So lots of them to work on, lots planned, and watch this space to see how they get on with implementing it all. More demo calls here. This, I believe, was with a medical brand. James had his headphones on for this call, so I couldn't really hear everything that was going on, but it seems like it went well. They're going to get a few things sorted on their end with their socials, and then they're going to try out the platform, which is always good news for us.
I'm on a run. It's Tuesday night. I've just listened to Alex Hormozi's podcast on Diary of a CEO. Don't always listen to it, but I've been told you've got to listen to this one. And do you know what's really frustrating? It's very simple, and it's some of the things I used to implement in MIB, which I've not implemented on Rupert, because I've gone, oh, it's a SaaS business. Fuck that, I made a mistake. I've just sent a message to the developers saying, here's 3 things I want changing. Can we get it done by the end of the week? The biggest one is a second someone creates an account, I get emailed all their details, including their telephone number. I'm gonna call them within 60 seconds to make sure that they're connecting the pages, and if they've got any questions, I'm there to support them. SaaS is SaaS, but you build fucking businesses through rapport and good fucking service. And I've made a mistake. Buzzing. Wednesday, massive day ahead. Well, not massive, just really busy. And I am on my way to work with an umbrella because the British weather is rubbish. Actually, look at it. Look at this. Look at that weather. Not good.
James made it into the office without being washed away, but this call was with a tech company in Singapore, learning a bit more about Rupert and seeing if they could offer any help connecting us with companies over there, which would be nice.
Department of Business and Trade for Singapore. Can I get into Singapore? It'd be nice. Right, time for my LinkedIn Live.
Setting up for another podcast with Paul from British Polygraph Testing, which is very interesting. But yeah, I think me and James are both excited for this because it's such like a sort of out there business idea. There he is.
Look at you vlogging.
Yeah, so we're just getting set up now and hopefully Paul will arrive successfully soon. Are there any thoughts and feelings ahead of the podcast?
Who's going to buy your services apart from governmental departments? I just don't
Maybe
get
that's
it.
who it is.
I don't know. Oh, he's a flat white man.
You're saying flat white, I'm going to say Americano.
Do you want to bring him in?
Or a latte. In our what drink will they get game, James was correct. Flat white, so 1-0 to James so far as we've failed every previous episode. But in terms of the actual podcast, it was good. Me and James learned some stuff about polygraph testing, how it works, his business, and we gave him some advice that hopefully he'll be able to implement. Then it was back to calls for James. Here he spoke with Emily from Social Media Examiner, who have a big presence with their podcast and newsletter over in the States. James going over to the US isn't really viable for us right now, but she's got some connections we can follow up on which might be beneficial for Rupert in terms of advice as well as business opportunities. And then it was fake marketer time. Now you might remember last episode James had a big and quite sudden announcement.
No way. Pure sport.
Pure sport of creating an account. Okay, that's really cool.
Following on from that, today he's jumping on a call with them to tell them more about Rupert and how they actually found us.
Weirdly, I'm actually a customer, so I'm
Yeah.
which is, because when you popped up, I was like, and a brand I actually use myself, so I was like, okay, this is cool.
But congratulations to you too. I mean, it popped up on LinkedIn, and yeah, as I said to you, it's a challenge that we face. As I say, not through like laziness or just not, doing it like other brands, but just like volume, really.
So that's quite cool, isn't it? Pure Sport's probably our first quote-unquote big brand, and they came to us just organically through social, which just goes to show if you keep sharing your content, you never know who might actually see it. But James helped them get their accounts set up, and they discussed why Rupert is something that could really help them and their business.
Like you say, it's the ads that's the problem, right? We're going to be running 500 ads in the next few months.
Oh, wow, okay.
And, like that volume. And the problem with the world these days is everyone only likes to say bad stuff, especially on social media. So that's the...
Or even we're running ads at the moment, but for Rupert, what's the best feature in terms of what's most palatable to people? And even last night, I got a load of comments. I'm just like, this is nonsense. Like, this is madness. Like, who's got time for this stuff?
Well, James, lovely to speak to you, and thank you so much for that code. If you drop me your address on email, we'll send you out a few products as a thank you, and I'll let you know how we go over the next couple of weeks with the comments and things, and any feedback that I think is relevant for you guys, or anything that can help, or any challenges that we're having, I'll let you know. Cool. Tom, man. Cheers, James. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you, mate. Take care.
See you later.
Good guy. Absolute legend.
From one big meeting to another.
Just finished an investor meeting and it went really, really well. Well, I think it went well anyway. I seem to like it. So they want to have a look at the code, see what we've been up to. But yeah, from our first initial meeting, really, really good. And also, they've got a very small portfolio and they're very selective on who they invest in. So yeah, hopefully we made a good impression. And yeah, wow, numero uno. Investor meeting done.
James was out of the office on Friday as it was his son's birthday. James went to one of those indoor trampoline parks, so I'm sure they both had a great time. So that's another week done, and time for another Sunday review.
I'm out running. Well, I've just finished my run. In terms of the review of the week, it was a good week actually. Obviously the investor meeting on Friday went really well, which you'd have just seen. They've emailed me back already this afternoon, which is cool. And the other investor that I met in London, yeah, they're going to discuss it on Thursday. Should start seeing some fruits of that labour. But really the most important thing last week was the initial testing with Meta ads, Facebook ads. And yeah, one day we had 5 new users sign up, which is incredible. It's now just doubling down on those ads. This is shit. I'm going to sit down and record it.
But he never did. Yeah, I realise we've not really mentioned the Meta ads side of Rupert. So we've been working on some stuff in the background with Nick, James's business partner, the Doctor, as some of you may know him, for the last few weeks. We're still trying to figure out that sweet spot and what's going to resonate with our audience best. But you'll see over the next couple of episodes what we've been working on. But for now, we're seeing some progress, but we're still on the road to 1,000 users.